Straight ahead this evening, 5 boys break out of the Simpson Penn Remand Center for Boys. 4 remain unaccounted for tonight. We have the latest. A deadly weekend as the murder rate spikes. 4 murders in the span of 2 days. Now the count stands at 109. Tonight we're on the campus of C.V. Bethel Senior High as the classmates of 15-year-old Rashae Gibson mourn her death. This weekend, she became the 107th victim. And State Environment Minister Fenton Nemore talks about ways he's working to foster a better relationship with petroleum dealers. It's all coming up this Monday, October 24th, on the Bahamas Tonight, starting right now.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
A warm evening to all of you. This is the Bahamas Tonight National Report. I'm Shanique Miller. 5 boys escaped the Simpson Penn Remand Center at the weekend, and tonight 4 of them are still missing. Now, such incidents are not new to the facility, as reports have surfaced for several months now that the boys in remand for behavioral problems would do their utmost to escape the Fox Hill institution. It's a story that ZNS News broke earlier today. Altavi's Munnings has the latest in tonight's top story.
5 boys escaped from the Simpson C Penn Center in Fox Hill between 3 and 11 p.m. Saturday. That's the initial confirmation we received from the Minister of State for Social Development, Loretta Butler Turner. She did admit bars to one of the cottages were compromised, which could mean that's how the group made good their escape. Now, such stories of this nature are not new to the facility. The state minister further disclosed that as of Monday afternoon, one of those boys was captured.
We previously housed and took care of boys up to the age of 16. Since the enactment of the Child Protection Act, we now have boys up to the age of 18. So we do have a large population, which fluctuates from day to day. Even with the best level of security that we're allowed to have in these areas, it's not the most difficult thing to get out.
The Social Development State Minister also conceded that conditions and security at the boys' facility are inadequate. Officials recently had to utilize the recreational area for residents to sleep. But the good news is Cabinet recently approved employing more staff there, which could enhance the operation.
We have received clearance recently, and we're in the process of enhancing the personnel that we have there. And we hope to have some of those people on the job within the week. We actually have a meeting scheduled for later this week so that we can upgrade the entire physical plant. We currently have 3 cottages that were built mainly to house about 36 boys.
Now, we've been told that what parents of these residents do not want is reports of breakouts at the center to be swept under the rug. However, the main goal of the rehabilitation facility is to mold residents into productive citizens of society. And officials say they need all the help they can get.
It is not government's intention to hide anything. We speak with parents on a daily basis. They're able to say some of the challenges that their kids have said that they're going through. We would like to ultimately make it a place where we can keep these young men, and when they re-enter society, they're totally reformed. It is our proposal to introduce a wider and a more diverse set of activities so that the young men can not only be busy, but so that they're able to learn life skills to take them forward when they would have left this place.
Social services officials plan to establish a better relationship between the ministry, Boys Center representatives, and parents to encourage productive dialogue on the lives of these young men. Altavi's Munnings, ZNS News.
It was quite a busy weekend for detectives here in the capital as they started off today probing 4 murders that took place between Saturday and Sunday. The most recent murder was recorded shortly before 2 o'clock this morning on Deliverance Way just off Malcolm Road. According to the police, when the victim got to his residence, he was reportedly approached by a man armed with a handgun. He ran and was shot multiple times to the body. He died a short time later. And just around 7 o'clock last night, police say a man while walking on Cordo Avenue near Amos Ferguson Street Street, was reportedly approached by occupants of a black Honda Accord, one of whom allegedly pulled out a handgun and fired gunshots at the 27-year-old, resulting in him receiving multiple gunshot injuries. He later died in hospital. The most harrowing of the weekend murders is that of a 15-year-old girl reportedly stabbed to death by her father. Assistant Commissioner of Police Hewlin Hanna was at the Sunset Street home shortly after the incident happened on Saturday morning.
They found the lifeless body of a young female, believed to be about 15, with significant injury to the neck. That person, we were able to arrest a male relative, an immediate male relative at the scene. He is in custody. He's believed to be about 47 years old. We do not know the circumstances surrounding this particular incident, but we should have this cleared up pretty soon.
Mr. Hanna, to my understanding, the suspect that police have in custody is the father of the victim. Can you confirm that?
Yes, we can confirm that based on the information we have.
Now, the 47-year-old father is in police custody, as you heard, and police are continuing their investigations into the murder of a 28-year-old man who was gunned down in a car near Juju Club on Johnson Road in Fox Hill. He was found by police in the front passenger seat of a white Honda Accord with multiple gunshot injuries. Police reported that the deceased allegedly got into an altercation with another man prior to being shot. Now, police have not officially released the identity of the 4 victims, but we can tell you we're just getting 3 of the victims' identities into our newsroom just moments ago. They are all in their 20s. They are Stephen Davis, Bradley Whitaker, and Castio Nabby. Again, Stephen Davis, Bradley Whitaker, and Castio Nabby, all in their 20s. Hannah reached out to those people who have unresolved family conflicts.
At the end of the day, if you can't get a grip on what is disturbing you as a family, what happens is that because you're in the same house, you're sleeping together, you're eating together, and so all of that, it's like a melting pot, and in a little while you will have a triggering event.
Now, if you have any information into any of the weekend's murders, you're asked to call police at 919-911, the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991, 502-9910, or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Well, losing a loved one is not easy for any family, especially those family units that are affected by murder. Although it's not a popular practice, you should know that the Department of Social Services preventative and grief counseling services are available for those families and individuals who need it. While State Minister for Social Development Loretta Butler-Turner didn't want to focus on the situation involving the weekend murder of Rashay Gibson, she talked about the impact of domestic violence on families.
Domestic violence goes far beyond the dynamics of spouses or common law relationships. It actually affects every person in the family. So social services, through its parenting and rehabilitation programs, are able to help with the family dynamics, should it be necessary.
As police continue their investigation into the 107th murder, the death of 15-year-old Rashay Gibson, the C.B. Bethel Senior High family, where she was an honor roll student, held a memorial there this morning. Janea Noel was able to speak with several of Rashay's friends and teachers today. Here's a story.
15-year-old Rashay Gibson was a student here at the C.B. Bethel Senior High. Her school family and friends described her as a shy and quiet person whose life was snatched away much too soon.
My daughter is conceived today so we could go over our work, but I didn't know it would come down to this.
Sanjay Nixon fought back the tears as he recalled the last days with his close 11th grade classmate, Rashia. He says Rashia was a special student who was always willing to assist where needed. A short memorial was held at the school this morning, and school principal Ulysses Benaby said it is not the first time they had to deal with the death of a student.
When I learned of Rashay's death, I was really concerned and upset because this is not the first time that I've had a student to die. But, you know, we always find ways of dealing with it, and today was no exception. I must commend the school for the way how, you know, the entire student body, we got together and we realized that, yes, Rashay is gone, but we're going to focus on the testimony that she has left with us, and it's a positive one.
Rashay's homeroom teacher, Charles Adderley, only had positive things to say about the honor roll student.
Rashay was one of those I would say, a model student. You never had to say the same thing to her twice. She comes in the class and you would always find her either reading or with her work, doing some work, but she would never be idly in class. And she was one of those students whom you easily fell in love with.
And her math teacher, Helen Campbell, described just how determined Rashay was about her schoolwork.
She was an honest student, so you can imagine the potential that has now gone down into a grave. She was a very quiet student, very quiet, very respectful, always, but so focused on her work.
Friends of Rashay who are still trying to come to grips with the loss say she was an exemplary student.
Rashay was a nice person, kind, caring, and loving. She was very quiet and very, very smart. She was one of the smartest children in all of my classes.
Rashay, she was very humble and she was very obedient. And when she come to school, she never had nothing bad to say. She always had a positive attitude and she was a very intelligent person.
A guidance counselor was at the school to talk to the students about the loss of life and to help them deal with this unfortunate situation. According to police, Rashay was found stabbed to death at her residence on Saturday. Her father is now in police custody in connection with the alleged gruesome murder. Janaea Noel, ZNS News.
Well, we put the question of crime and the 4 murders this past weekend to many of our Facebook viewers. Chrissy Stubbs says it would be sad if the United States government puts out a travel advisory to all travelers, warning them not to come to the Bahamas. Clyde Cornish says the crime rate is centered around what's happening in Nassau. If there is an advisory, it should be limited only to Nassau. We don't have that problem in Abaco. Roshan Butler says the only way is if we go back to God, not just in speech, but in deeds. They have a saying, action speaks louder than words and the word of God. Zilpha Roll says, I personally think it can because strangers are not killing us. We are killing each other. It only takes one person to say, I'm sorry, instead of picking up a gun. People that come out of jail are being put right back on the streets to associate with the same people as before. Denzel Bullard says we need stiffer penalties, stop playing games with repeat offenders, follow through with the laws on the books, and crack down on all illegal activity, especially the ones that are popping up everywhere. If we would stop dreaming and wake up to reality, then we will see a change. Mark Darville says it's going to next to be impossible, but it can be done in order for it to be corrected. Inhumane actions will have to be carried out. Question is, are we prepared for that? Of course, continue to participate in our Facebook questions. Go on our page at znsnews.com. Well, the punishment for committing a crime in the Bahamas to be a lot stiffer very soon. The package of anti-crime bills going through one final step before becoming law. They were read for a first time in the Senate this morning. The bills include the Evidence Amendment Bill, Criminal Procedure Code Amendment Bill, the Pawnbrokers and Second-Hand Dealers Bill, the Bail Amendment Bill, the Penal Code Amendment Bill, the Sexual Offenses Amendment Bill, the Firearms Amendment Bill, the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Bill, and the Court of Appeal Amendment Bill. The bills are expected to lay out circumstances for the death penalty for murder, increase sentences for possession of guns and firearms, and regulate the scrap metal and cash for gold businesses, and protect the identity of witnesses in cases of murder, among other things. Debate on the set of bills begin Wednesday at 10 in the morning. The issue of crime was recently discussed at a board meeting of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. It's no secret that police report daily the number of armed robberies affecting businesses across the capital. The Chamber plans to take a more proactive approach to crime and commission closed-circuit television and other crime preventative measures that affect the physical and mental state of business owners. President of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Bahamas Employers Confederation, Winston Roll, explains.
White-collar crime is also an issue too, because it's very prevalent in our community, where persons feel entitled, so to speak, to avail themselves of employers' property. So that's also a concern. And then, of course, the judicial system plays a role as well, because when matters are brought to the courts, and how quickly they are dealt with, not only from the matter of it taking place in court, but also from the time judgments are passed, has a cost element to business as well.
With 500 members, the National Business Leader plans to increase that number by attracting those small and medium-sized businesses in New Providence's inner city.
The message that I constantly give to people is that we can't represent you if we don't know you're there. You have to be a part of the organization, and we're trying to reach out and show persons the benefits of being members of the chamber so that they can realize that it's not a cost, it's a benefit. For me to be a part of and to have my voice heard. The other thing that I always tell people too that I find lacking in smaller businesses who do join the chamber is participating by signing up and sending us a check is only one aspect of your chamber membership. To really get the benefit of your membership, you have to get engaged in the process.